So welcome everybody to the motherfucking infamous D controversial. We're gonna talk about random ass shit. Today's topic actually is more focused on conspiracy theories, ancient aliens, shit like that. So the first thing I'm gonna share with y'all is a motherfucking article that I saw. Hold on, let me try to post this motherfucker. Right. Y'all see this shit? It says former Israeli space security chief says extraterrestrials exist and Trump knows about it. Do you think he's telling the truth? Do you think Trump knows or he's full of shit? I personally believe it. So check it out. There's this thing called Galactic Federation. So it says a galactic federation has been waiting for humans to reach a stage where we will understand what space and spaceships are. You never know. I personally believe, like I said. So let's check out the article real quick. I'm gonna read it to y'all. So it says a former Israeli space security chief has sent eyebrows shooting heavenward by saying that Earthlings have been in contact with ETs from a galactic federation. The unidentified flying objects have asked not to publish that they are here because humanity is not ready yet. But you know what? I say we are ready. And I'll make sure y'all ready too. That's why I'm talking to y'all about this so y'all can prepare. Because when they come, don't get scared. They're on our side. Let me read more so y'all can understand why I'm saying that. So it says that a respected professor and retired general said the aliens were equally curious about humanity and were seeking to understand, quote unquote, the fabric of the universe. He also said that cooperation agreements had been signed between species, including an underground base in the depths of Mars, where there are American astronauts and alien representatives. So that means there's more than one species. So you know all that shit people be talking about. There's grays, reptilians, motherfucking Pleiadians, the ones with the blonde hair and shit, and probably the Anunnaki. Me personally, the Anunnaki are from this planet that we call right now Planet Nine or Planet X. Zechariah Sitchin describes them in the Earth Chronicles. They come from a planet called Nibiru. Um, I've been doing a lot of digging, to be honest, like to confirm, because I don't really like believing people just because they say something. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to confirm the facts before I speak about them. And people that study the same shit, we share opinions. Like, what do you think? You think it's true? We don't doubt it. We just try to confirm it. And that's what we're doing right now, Like in today's episode, we're gonna try to confirm it and we're gonna see what people say, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't really care about opinions. We're gonna look at the facts. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue with this article. So it says that there's an agreement between the US government and the aliens that they signed a contract with us to do experiments here. He also added that the president was aware of the ET's existence and had been on the verge of revealing information, but was asked not to in order to prevent mass hysteria. The only reason I'm sharing this shit is because most people ain't gonna believe it anyway. So my goal is to prepare y'all slowly so y'all don't trip when that shit does happen. So, anyways, he also said that they have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are, referring to the Galactic Federation. And obviously, the White House and Israeli officials are not going to immediately respond. And then, if you notice, the spokesperson for the Pentagon declined to comment. Sue Go or whatever, however you say her name, if it's a girl. Uh, and a spokesperson for NASA said that one of the agency's key goals was the search for life in the universe, but that it had yet to find signs of extraterrestrial life. Obviously, if the aliens are real and they told them not to fucking reveal their identities or their existence, I mean, yet obviously NASA has to deny it, otherwise they're violating that how can you say it, that condition, I guess, that agreement. So obviously they're gonna deny that. And then let me see. Also, look at this, the actual statement. Although we have yet to find signs of extraterrestrial life, NASA is exploring the solar system and beyond to help us answer fundamental questions, including whether we are alone in the universe. I think that's pretty much saying that they're trying to confirm what the aliens told them to see if they're telling the truth or full of shit. I would too. You can't just believe somebody who tells you something and then believe it. Just like I don't expect y'all to believe it just because I'm saying it or because I'm saying that this person said it or whatever. All I know is that I believe in it because I have like done my research and there's too many obvious signs that point to it. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. Let me see. Oh yeah, so look, obviously the dude revealed this because he's promoting his book. He didn't pay me to fucking talk about his book, but we'll give him a little shout out. So it says that his ideas are spelled out in more detail in the universe beyond the horizon. Conversations with Professor Haim Eshet. I think that's how you pronounce it. Which will be published in November, which came out last month pretty much. And when the fuck did they write this article? Let's see. This article came out on December 8th. So that means they took their sweet ass time to fucking report this shit. That's crazy. All right, so like there's still more of the article. So look, tells you about the dude. They said this shit. He said he oversaw the launch of numerous Israeli satellites into space. Said he was only speaking out now because attitudes were changing and people seemed more receptive. Like me, I'm trying to make sure y'all on the same page. You get me? That way, when the time comes, you ain't gonna be tripping. You're gonna be like, this motherfucker probably on drugs. I ain't on drugs. I wish I was. So, anyways, look. Apparently, he said, if I had come up with what I'm saying today 5 years ago, I would have been hospitalized. Today, they're already talking differently. I have nothing to lose. I've received my degrees and awards. I am respected in universities abroad. So we're talking about a motherfucker that knew his shit. Everybody, if they believe everything else he said, why wouldn't they believe this? The people, well, mainstream media is gonna try to tell you, oh, he's just trying to sell a book. He's crazy. He just wants attention, blah blah blah. But he's not the first motherfucker to say that. You gotta keep that in mind. There's been a lot of motherfuckers that have said the same shit for years, and I'm pretty sure all you gotta put is on fucking YouTube and search for motherfucking ancient aliens, and you'll get all kinds of shit, all kinds of information. But it's your job to know the difference of what's real and what's not. But based on my research, all that shit, it's mostly true. So apparently in May, Trump said space is going to be the future, both in terms of defense and offense. We're now the leader on space, as he was presented with the official flag of a newly created military branch, Space Force. You see, and the funny thing is, a lot of people make fun of what Trump did pretty much. So you gotta kind of get an idea that there's good aliens and bad aliens. Otherwise, why would we need an offensive approach and not just a defensive? That means we're ready to attack something or somebody. So you never know. So yeah, it says its focus about Space Force regarding Space Force. Its focus is along with a space command It's on space as a military domain for the US, preserving satellites and communications, and a focus on geopolitics and new terrain. Geopolitics. We're gonna Google that shit right now for those who don't know what that is. Oh yeah, speaking of shit, look, there's a bunch of fucking monoliths appearing all over the world. I wonder what the fuck they mean. Somebody fucking around with us, watching too much Space Odyssey. Oh, what the fuck. Anyways, so you see, people always react to shit like this kind of information like it's a joke. Y'all probably think this is a joke too, or I'm being sarcastic right now, trying to act serious about it because I share memes and shit. I try to be funny, but the reason I'm doing these lives is to be more serious about stuff and talk to you about shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it says right here, you know, that his comments immediately spawned jokes and theories online. At least a dozen accounts have been created on Twitter claiming to be representatives to Earth from the Galactic Federation. Other users have asked for preferential treatment and meetings with the otherworldly group. And one of the dudes that be coming out, Ancient Aliens, Nick Pope, who used to investigate UFOs for the British Ministry of Defense, described his remarks as extraordinary, which tells you a lot. Because keep in mind, Nick Pope pretty much did the same job as this guy, but he did it for the British. So if you could consider them whistleblowers, but people don't see them as Edward Snowden type of whistleblowers because according to people, aliens don't exist just because the government says they don't exist. But come on, all you got to do is put two and two together. So look at what he said. Either this is some sort of practical joke or publicity stunt to help sell his book, perhaps with something having been lost in translation, or someone in the know is breaking ranks. I think it's the latter. So it also he said that the UFO and conspiracy theory community was excited, but the questions remained, including whether or not he was speaking from direct personal knowledge and experience, or whether he is repeating something he has been told to say. I think both, because like he says right here in the bottom, there are still some missing pieces of the puzzle here. At the end of the fucking article, man. So what y'all think, man? Y'all think fucking aliens are real or what? Like I said, I fucking believe they are, to be honest. I honestly think aliens exist. And shit, I got like what, 1.3 million followers. I'll tell you this right now. Let's make a bet, and it's gonna be live, right? We're gonna make sure that we make sure that y'all gonna be my witnesses, all right? Give me 3 years to convince y'all that aliens are real. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you how, why, and you're gonna know pretty much the truth. You know how I'm featuring guests? Shit, maybe one day I'll introduce y'all to a real alien. You never know. As far as I'm concerned, we're descendants from those aliens because they kind of interbred with us. But scientists that study like archaeology and shit, they'll tell you shit like, oh yeah, those are just ancient humans and shit. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, we're trying to make the connection here. They already made the connection you know what I'm saying? But they haven't really been like honest with us, you could say. They've been beating around the bush, you could say. Fucking like if you ever put the connections together. I don't know how familiar y'all are with fucking like evolution shit. As a matter of fact, hold on, let me take off this stupid ass filter because I like right. Anyways, um, I like I've been studying the evolution, like about all the ancient hominids. Now it's kind of funny if you notice. There's a pattern. Like you got the smallest one, right? Like I don't know if y'all familiar how familiar y'all are with the evolution shit, but a lot of people got the stupid idea that, oh well, if we came from the monkey, why are the monkeys still here? But those type of people that say that shit don't understand how evolution works. You feel me? They're pretty much like and being naive when they say that kind of shit. Let me see. Hold on. Before I continue further, let me some of the comments real. So matter of fact, hold on, cause fucking screen is dark as shit. Second. I think a little better. All right, hold on. Let me show like. Well, I'm not gonna show you. I'm gonna tell y'all a little something. Like I'm still working. I'm actually doing the research, like I said, and like I'm telling you, in 3 years, I'm gonna prove aliens are real. And not only that, I'm gonna unite the world and make sure we fucking receive them as what they really are. You could say cousins, brothers, sisters, relatives, ancestors. We're all family, man. That's why a lot of like indigenous people, which I'm technically indigenous, like 57% indigenous according to my ancestry DNA results or whatever. Where's the one I'm trying to show you? Oh shit! You know what? It's gonna be over here. There's one of these motherfuckers. I didn't even have none of this shit prepared to be honest. I just like I knew I wanted to talk about that article, but you know what I'm saying? Like I don't like preparing speeches because it's I don't know, in my opinion, it's stupid. Like I'd rather just say whatever the fuck comes to my mind. All right. Where the fuck is that shit? Oh, okay. So maybe it is right here. Where the fuck do I got that fucking thing? Hold on, give me a sec. You see, that's why I should have had it prepared, so I won't be fucking looking around like a dumbass trying to find it. Technically, it would have been that one. Oh shit! You know what? Maybe it is that one. I just haven't looked at it correctly. I should have had it ready, man. God damn! I should have never split it. Just like that. Ah, fuck. Well, anyways, I don't want to fucking keep wasting my time looking for that shit. But for those saying that if there's ghosts, why not aliens? I agree. In my personal experience, I've seen fucking ghosts. I've been around ghosts. As a matter of fact, sometimes confuse ghosts with uh like beings from another dimension or from another reality. Um, like have you ever fuck have you ever um like all of a sudden like seen something like you'll look around and then you turn around and like swear you literally saw something and you know how that shit look. Sometimes it looks like a human. Sometimes it looks like some other weird shit. Like one time I saw a motherfucker that looked like a fucking like a humanoid sheep. You know. And the funny part is the way we get scared, they get scared. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we spook the shit out of them too. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, oh, I just see what the fuck I like. We both get scared. And it's kind of funny. Like a lot of people think that we're full of shit when they tell them stories like that. I bet you a lot of you got stories like that, but y'all don't like sharing it with motherfuckers because motherfuckers probably think you're crazy or send you to the mental hospital or something, insane asylum. But I think the ones that are crazy and don't believe it are the ones that are crazy. Seriously. All right, I'm trying to see the fucking comments, not letting me see. I'm trying to read it on my phone. Give me a second. Let's see what's going on here. All right, all right, all right. All right, let's see what the comments are saying. Do you go on the deep web? Not really. To be honest, people that go to the deep web are people that be looking for shit that's illegal. To be honest, like I bet you if I go in there, I'll find a lot of weird shit. But nah, I stay away from bullshit like that. Yep, ain't nothing new, Isaac. Yeah, like I said, if there's ghosts, why not aliens, right? Well, it's dark shit right here, right? I'm trying to put this so I can look a little bit, kind of help a little bit. Okay. They probably see me better now. Make sure. Let's see. All right, hell yeah, that's way better. I can see myself now. So yeah, so man, I wish I had the fucking thing I'm looking for, but I don't know where the fuck it's at, man. So, anyways, I was gonna try to explain to y'all like based on my research, like I'm trying to put everything together. You get me? Like synchronize the story and shit. Fuck, man, that would have been a fucking good thing to read to y'all. Shit. Hold on, I know I gotta be somewhere around here real quick. Fuck, do I got it on there? Nope. Let's see. Oh, bitch. What did I save that thing under? Whatever. I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. So like how they discovered all these bones and stuff, right? Like if you like I said, like look on the evolution, even the book of Genesis tells you how evolution happened. But a lot of people, like even me, I'm not religious, but that book alone tells you what evolution proved. like the people that believe in evolution proof. They call it a theory right now, but obviously it makes sense. You know, uh, you got like for example, okay, so you look at the Big Bang, right? They're saying that out of what they call a singularity, which was like of light, you could say, an infinity thing. Um, I'm gonna give you an example. Like I'm gonna try to merge what the Genesis said with the theories of science and with my philosophy, so y'all can understand that a little bit. So they tell us, I'm gonna start with science. They tell us that the universe began with a singularity, a Big Bang, right? Which is similar to what Genesis says when they said there was nothing, and then God said, "Let there be light." Boom, bang, right? So, and then it was Einstein. They came out with the theory first that black holes existed. But so far, what we know about black holes that they absorb everything, that not even light can escape it, right? So if not even light can escape it, that obviously means eventually the black holes will absorb all light on the universe, right? And there will be no light at all. Everything will be dark again, right? And I don't know if y'all know this, but there's like a video, for example, on YouTube that explains what will happen after that happens, which is similar to what Stephen Hawking said before he died in his last book, that eventually the world's gonna end, like the universe is gonna end when everything's dark and cold and there will be no light. So it's similar to what that video says. Um, so you got a like what you call super black hole, like a big ass black hole in the middle of every solar system, right? And what's funny about that is that we know that our galaxy, Milky Way, it's like on a collision with the Andromeda galaxy, right? So if there's a super black hole in our galaxy and a super black hole in the Andromeda galaxy, that means that they're merging, fucking black hole merging them. You know, we don't see it like that. We see it like two separate galaxies crashing into each other because of gravity. We call it. But how do we know that those two black holes are merging because of a black hole, or because the two black holes are technically are the ones making them crash into each other? I wish I had like some kind of fucking science expert, like somebody who knows about physics to explain that shit to us. But for now, talking late terms, Uh, so, anyways, so we know that light can escape black hole, right? And I don't know if y'all know about this theory of black holes, which is like the opposite of a black hole. So, for example, a black hole absorbs light into a singularity. So that means that the white hole does the opposite. It's pretty much instead of a black hole, it's white, obviously. The middle is like a black singularity. I think you get where I'm going with this. So that means that it shoots light like the Big Bang. So what if every time a black hole forms, a Big Bang begins a new universe? So this kind of related to that whole first theory, So that means that for every black hole there is, that means there's probably a new universe, or identical to ours, or in a different time and space of ours, because technically it's sucking in our light. My theory is that it's creating new universes that look way different, you know? But the chances of it creating a and universe exactly like one very high. So maybe that's why sometimes if you ever notice like in our dreams we be like thinking Have we seen this before? Maybe we have. We just don't remember. According to the scientific explanation, it's just like a brain part, like. But I mean, that's how they explain it. Either you could be superstitious or accept that as a random ass explanation. But I want to get back to what I'm saying about the creation and evolution of synchronization. So, like I said, so let's assume that before there was anything in this universe, a black hole absorbed all light and created a super black hole, and then that super black hole absorbed all the super black holes, and then there was nothing but darkness, nothing but a black hole with a singularity in the middle. But we also gotta take this into consideration that whenever the first black hole that pretty much absorbed uh, light in that universe is pretty much when this universe started. So it's when the white hole got created and created the Big Bang. You know what I'm saying? And I want to like talk about other theories too that are kind of connected to this shit. So we got like the Big Crunch. Says that the universe begins like Big Bang, and then it's called the Big Bounce, where well, hold on. So Big Bang, right, starts like boom, and then the Big Crunch says it starts absorbing itself back into singularity again, which is like what the black hole does. Remember what I'm talking about? The black hole absorbs all the light. So I think that's what they mean by a Big Crunch. And then the Big Bounce pretty much explains what the white hole does. It creates another Big Bang and a Big Crunch, Bang, Crunch, Big Bang. That's what you call the Big Bounce. And that's pretty much what I'm saying. That when like the universe always exists and will exist as long as there's light for black holes. Um, Another thing I want to talk about is energy. They say everything is created out of energy, and energy can't be created, energy can't be destroyed, it can only transform. So that means that whatever God is energy. But if everything is energy and God is energy, doesn't that mean that we are God in a way? We're not necessarily God, but we're like a piece of whatever God is. Since energy is energy, that means that we're all God in a way. And God is us, God is God, and we're not God. If that makes sense. So let's say we are God, right? And we destroyed the old universe with a black hole. As soon as we absorb the first little piece of light, created a white hole, you know what I'm saying? Through a singularity, and boom, created this universe, right? Uh, Man, I fucking wish I had that fucking document available. But they're saying like the scientific research says that the first two elements, I think the first one is hydrogen. You know, like something creates hydrogen. Hydrogen is the first element. Um, you probably say hydrogen uh, creates oxygen, and when they both combine, they create water. But keep in mind, there's four elements: hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen. Sometimes the ancient people used to call them water, fire, wind, and earth. Right? Like literally everything that we call life is made out of those four elements. Atoms, whatever you want to call them. Uh, yeah, technically, well, are they? I think the same shit. Fucking So whatever, right? So let's go back to Genesis. God said, "Let there be light," right? And so let's say that's when the Big Bang happened, right? Matter of fact, hold on. some shit. I need to show you the fucking Genesis chapter. Hold on, all right. For another article for y'all. Oh, look, this is an article that kind of describes it the way I'm talking about it. Yeah, screen real quick. So, okay, let's do with the articles.
I need to show you
it says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? I say yes.
Hold on, all right.
And it's like, I try to explain to you right now. So now let's read what this
for another article for y'all.
I read this article, but I'm pretty sure it's insightful. So it says, for many generations,
oh look, this is an article that kind of describes
the origin
it,
of life.
About it.
We're divided into enemy camps.
Real quick.
But perhaps it's actually the same story told in two languages. That's what it says. So it says that how did it happen that in the vast, dark, barren universe of matter, life,
let's do with the article. I need to show you.
So it says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? Seek to answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same story? To answer the that question.
I say yes.
I need to show you. It says, are the Big Bang and Genesis actually the same. Let me see. So yeah, it says maybe it really did happen that way, which was an alternative provided in 2015 by biochemists from Cambridge University in an article. I'm gonna check that out. Of a few compounds that through a simple chemical reaction, which required ultraviolet light, heating and drying and wetting with water, became the basis for lipids. So you gotta take that, like pretty much what they're saying is pretty much that chemical reactions. That means that, like, you know how when the black holes absorb light, that means that when they create that singularity, like chemical reactions are going on, like different shit's going on, right? So I'm assuming, I never thought about it that way. Now that I read this, so that means, you know how I was saying earlier that black holes pretty much absorb everything and keep absorbing light. So maybe I'm a little bit wrong about one thing. Maybe it's not that a new universe begins right away when a black hole is created, but maybe a black hole keeps absorbing black holes, and until the last black hole absorbs the last black hole, and all the light, there's no more light to absorb, and no more black holes to absorb. I feel, oh, you know what? Yeah. So maybe when all the black holes absorb all the light, that's when the motherfucking chemical reaction starts. Like eventually, from all that light it's absorbing, I think the universe is created as soon as that chemical reaction they're talking about right here happens inside that singularity. Once that chemical reaction happens, boom, it's like a universe inside that black hole. You get me? Yeah, I think that's probably what happens. And then that means that the first black hole. So once the black hole absorbs the first black hole, that probably means that it sends the first black hole into that new universe, which kind of explains why we have super black holes in every solar system. But that also means that when that first burst of light has the power to create black holes. So it's kind of funny, right? How a black hole technically creates a black hole in the form of a white hole. So white holes create black holes and black holes create white holes, you can say. That's crazy. Anyways, let me see. What the fuck is this? Take that shit out. All right, so where the fuck is the part where they talk about Genesis? Um, okay, this article is kind of good. We'll probably read this. Oh, look at it. Thus was born in the scientific language. Wait, hold on. Let's read before that. So 90 years later, we are used to this idea, which sounds to us logical and acceptable. I think they're talking about the primeval atom. That's what they're talking about. Um, which but stop and think about it for a moment. The whole vast universe concentrated in one point and then emerges from it. How? Why? So technically, the singularity is probably the primeval atom. I got to look into the primeval atom. Like I heard about it, and I read about it, but I can't recall it right now. So in an instant, like a jack in the box, wonder of wonders, the scientific community was fiercely critical of the Maturar's article. I don't know how you say that. Albert Einstein, for example, described his physics as atrocious. Oh, so that's not Einstein's theory, that's some other guy's theory. However, within a short time, Einstein acknowledged his mistake. You saw how I corrected myself too. You know what I'm saying? Einstein did the same shit, which he termed the biggest blunder of his career. What? And he praised on, I'm not going to say that guy's name no more, theory. This is the most beautiful and satisfactory explanation of creation to which I have ever listened. You see, he complimented the man he didn't believe. First, he said what he said was atrocious, and then he said that was the most beautiful and satisfactory explanation. So maybe that motherfucking, you know what? We're going to look into that shit right now. Thus was born in the scientific language the Big Bang narrative. Oh, so pretty much that's the Big Bang theory, you know what I'm saying? The shit. So Einstein didn't believe in the Big Bang theory. That's crazy. And then he said, hell yeah, that's how it happened. So the Big Bang narrative, which can be seen as a translation of let there be light, ding ding ding, in the other language accepted in the scientific community. Now perhaps another Big Bang has been discovered of a sudden and simultaneous appearance of lipids, amino acids, and nucleotides, a sibling to, and God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature. But you see how you see, this is the thing I'm talking about. You got all these theories, right, of the smartest people in the fucking world to study this shit, not including the religious people. I'm not saying they're dumb, but I'm just saying. So the Bible is their explanation. So keep that in mind. The Bible is their explanation. But now you got scientists that assume that every theory is independent of each other, and that's my approach is the opposite of what they're doing. They try to study things independently, and if they can't connect it to their theory, then whatever, right? So in a way, the people that believe in the Big Bang don't believe in this second Big Bang. But you see this article. This article is doing what I do. Well, the first one is how it first started, and then the second one is the second line in Genesis. So the Big Bang theory, the first Big Bang is let there be light, and the second one is and God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature. So the way I see it is that's part one, and this is part two of the same fucking theory. You know what I'm saying? It's just adding on to it in more detail. So let's see. God's incapacity. So look, it says that this duality are so different, yet it turns out they're not necessarily contradictory. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? That all you gotta do is literally synchronize every motherfucking history, ancient texts, myths, legends, all that shit. Put them all together. Don't dismiss the shit that sounds like fantasy. If you think it sounds like fantasy, that means you're reading the shit wrong. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that the shit's fake just because you don't believe in flying horses. For all you know, they're talking about fucking airplanes or something. You know what I'm saying? Or like little spaceships and shit. Like you got motherfucking Native Americans that used to refer to trains as iron horses. Do you see any motherfucking iron horses? No. What do you see? Trains. And to this day, you know that's what the fuck they were talking about. Iron horses. So take it like let's picture ourselves like the natives said, flying horses. I'm not technically that could have been used to describe flying trains for all we know. If they refer to trains as iron horses, what makes us think flying horses is not like replace the word iron with flying? And now you got fucking trains in the fucking air, you know what I'm saying? But obviously we don't see no motherfucking trains in there. That'll mean it's not possible. So maybe flying horses could be well, we're talking about in the singular though. It could be a fucking like a dragon and shit that flies in the air, or like what the Aztecs called Quetzalcoatl or whatever the fuck you say it, the feathered serpent. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it looked like a fucking flying serpent to them that had feathers. You know what I'm saying? As far as we know, uh, maybe there was fucking dinosaurs back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But they referred to that person as a feathered serpent because he was probably a fucking uh you know what I'm saying, somebody who rides around in a fucking um like well hmm, you could just say it's probably a reptilian that was able to they had the ability to fly or some shit, or literally somebody who used to ride around in a feathered serpent, which is probably an animal for real, like a literal animal. Or maybe, like I said, maybe it was a fucking jetpack, a motherfucking spaceship. You never know. So anyways, so that's what I'm saying, like don't dismiss something just because it sounds like some wild, crazy fucking imagination. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I'm doing. Like, I'm writing the story so it can make sense. You get me? So it don't sound too fantasy. Like, cause me, I understand it a certain way because I've been fucking studying the shit out of it. Cause I actually believe in it. And the only way you can make sense out of it is if you start believing in it. If you don't believe in it, it's gonna sound like stupid shit to you. I understand. I even all right. Let me tell you a quick story. So me, when hold on, let me stop screen sharing so I can tell the story. So me, like when I was locked up, I read the Earth Chronicles, right? Because this one guy, he was a Spanish Cobra, recommended it to me, right? And I ordered the books and I read the shit, right? And I was like, God damn, this motherfucker makes a lot of fucking sense, right? Like I believed in ancient aliens, but you know what I'm saying? And then when I read those books, god damn, I fucking imagined the whole story in my head. And then I get out of jail, right? And fucking I start doing research, see how they're trying to debunk the Zechariah Sitchin. And then I'm like, I read the original text, And I'm like, like pretty much kind of believing what the people that were trying to debunk him said. Like, well, I don't like it doesn't like according to people's translations, and that's the thing. According to people's translations, it doesn't mean that. So I was like wondering where the fuck did this guy get his information from? Like, and then I thought about it. Well, in the beginning of the book, uh, the 12th planet, he clearly explains this is how I did it, and this is the same thing I'm telling you right now. He studied what the words meant, so I began doing the same shit. But before I started doing all that, I stopped believing him. I'm like, I want to believe you, but I don't believe you anymore. So I was like, yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, I started looking for an answer in the scientific way. But then all of a sudden, I don't know, I felt like this urge to write a story. And I started writing the story. And then I'm like, well, if I wanted to create my own world, like how would I create that world? And I started overthinking. And eventually I started like creating my own language for my story. And then eventually it came to the point where I fucking try to study languages that exist right now and try to figure out what the words meant. And then I became kind of like intrigued. I'm like, if that's what that word means, I wonder what it really means. And then I got to the bottom and I realized that every single word that exists in any language is related to words that sound the same. So I started paying attention to words that sound the same. And I realized that they translate literally to the same fucking thing. So then I started understanding what Zechariah Sitchin meant when he wrote the book, The Lost Book of Enki. He pretty much he explains that he made the book out of scaffolding. He says so, meaning he picked apart different stories and put up and made a story and put it together to make one story. And I'm like, that's fucking smart. And then I never understood it, but now I understand it more because I started doing his approach. Well, doesn't this word really mean this? And his teacher told him, no, it means giants, like referring to the word Nephilim. He says, no, it means giants. And he's like, but it literally means those who were cast down or cast down, right? And Zechariah said, after studying the word more and more, he said it actually means those who came down from up above. And he made the connection between that word and what the Sumerians called the Anunnaki. But today I had a conversation, right, with my boy Cruz about what the word Anunnaki means. And I told him about that article that I showed y'all in the beginning. And he was telling me how the Hopi Indians or natives, you know, um, you used to talk about what they call the ant people. And remember what I said about natives referring to certain things they don't know about or their names and stuff, like as iron horses or flying horses. Most people will be like, well, what the fuck do they mean by ant people? Does that mean that there was like literally ant humanoids in the planet? You could look at it like that, you could dismiss it as fantasy, or you could take it literally that there was humanoid that looked like ants or aliens that look like ants, you could say. Like I used to think, and then my boy Cruz told me, he's like, dude, the word Anunnaki means the same thing, ant people, or like ant friends. And then he kind of like enlightened me. He's like, that doesn't mean that they were literally ants. They just described them as ants because they lived underground. I'm like, holy shit, you're fucking right. So that's why they probably drew them as ants because they lived underground. And if you remember in the article, it says that the aliens are in Mars in an underground base. Why are they underground? That's the question, you know? And according to my research, the Anunnaki were actually Like, oh, and as a matter of fact, that's why Cruz told me that they were like ants, because I try to describe to him how they look. And I told him that they're giants. They have like the resemblance in their skin. They look like albino people. So they don't got no melanin in their skin, and they got no melanin in their eyes. And I'm assuming they do got like elongated heads. And not only that, but they got white hair, you know, or either they're born with blonde hair and then it becomes white, or they just literally got white hair from the beginning, right? Just like us, we got black hair, and then our black hair turns dark gray, and then that dark gray kind of turns white. So if it turns white, goddamn, does everybody's hair turn white when they're old? Gotta look into that. And so anyways, he told me like that. I'm like, well, yeah, like if they're albinos, that means that they spend most of their fucking life underground. You know what I'm saying? So it makes a lot of sense because they're trying to say like there's research that says that the people in the ice age like lived in the caves. So if people lived in caves, that means that their eyes probably got used to the dark, and melanin only protects us from the sun. So if you got less melanin in your eyes, that's how your brown eyes become blue or green. You know what I'm saying? Because you lack melanin in your eye. So it makes sense that if for like at least 10,000 years, uh, people pretty much like their brown eyes became blue, you could say. And according to science, that did happen like around 8,000 years ago, which is kind of ironic because if you believe in the story of the deluge, like the Noah's Ark story about the flood, it kind of matches, it kind of synchronizes with the time. And according to some of the ancient Sumerian texts that I've read, that happened when, like, I don't know if y'all know about the zodiac cycles. Like right now, they say we're in the age of Aquarius that started apparently in the year 2000. But then there's people that say the age of Pisces ended in 68 BC. According to my research, the age of Pisces ended in 80 AD. And what's ironic about that is that technically, that means that Jesus was born around that time. So it's kind of ironic. So it's like if Jesus comes back, he's supposed to come back uh, like when the age of Aquarius starts. So that means if the age of Aquarius started in the year 2000, that means Jesus was born in the year 2000. We just don't know it yet. So that means Jesus is probably 20 years right now, 20 years old. If he's out there, like the new Messiah. I mean, the Messiah returned already. We don't know it yet. But if he's out there and he's listening, well, welcome back. And what else was I gonna say? I mean, I got my own beliefs about who the Messiah is. I believe it's not just one person. I believe it's a lot of people that are enlightened. You know, people that really believe what they're capable of, like with their mind. I think whoever the Messiah is either one of two people: somebody who can literally uh, bend reality at will using their mind. That's kind of like the Jesus that the Bible describes in the New Testament, right? Somebody who could turn water into wine. That's if you look at it in a fantasy type perspective, right? But what if Jesus was just a smart motherfucker who knew how to turn water into wine? Because if you notice, it doesn't really explain how he does it. It just says he did it. It doesn't say how he did it. It just says that what he did. And technically, you could turn water into wine if you know how to, like chemistry, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Like if you know what to combine to make wine. You know what I'm saying? Or yeah, like pretty much like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you never know. Maybe he literally created wine. You know what I'm saying? Without grapes. But like I said, maybe he knew. Like they don't really explain that shit. But anyways, I want to like before I get out of topic, I want to fucking go back to this shit. Okay. Let me screen share again. Where the fuck is it? Okay. All right. So look it. So where was I? Okay. So this duality, two languages that are so different and yet, as it turns out, not necessarily contradictory, is perhaps not accidental. If we look at the biblical account of creation, we can find in it a similar duality, an ostensible dispute around the story of the emergence of mankind. Ooh, I think they're gonna say what I tell people all the time. Let me see. It says Genesis 1:27 depicts the dramatic event like this, or thus. Quote, and God created man in his image, in the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. This is humankind as the crown of creation, fashioned after all the animals, man as God's image, not as a metaphor in practice. All right, before I continue reading, like, man, that's why I fucking wish I had my evolution shit. But anyways, so let me try to like do a recap. So whatever, so let there be light, boom, big bang, right? All the stars, all the shit, everything creates, the planet creates. So according to the evolution theory, um, first the first uh human or animal, whatever you want to call it, was pretty much like damn, I forgot the order. Like I could easily go look for it, but I rather try to remember from the top of my head. So like pretty much like a molecule, let's say, right? And created the first of like bacterium created the first one cell organisms, right? And then those one cells created the multi cells approximately like 4.5 billion years ago. Well, first of all, the universe apparently is 12 point something billion years old, and then the Earth is 4.5 billion years. Then after a certain amount of time, that's when like I'm not gonna go through like times, but like I said, the one cells became multi-cell organisms. They lived in the water. I could tell you, like I'm telling you, if I had my fucking thing, I would describe how like in more detail, but I'm just gonna go over it. So those multi-cell organisms kind of look like what do you call those? Algae, you know? And then fuck, man, I wish I had it. So whatever the algae, so pretty much we were kind of like sea creatures first, which is the same thing Genesis says. You know what I'm saying? But we were fish. You could say, yeah, let's say we were fish, and then from fish we became like reptiles, you could say. And then the funny thing is that the reptiles became three separate things. They became insects and birds, and then the reptiles kind of created the amphibians, right? Or I think the amphibian, I forgot which one comes first, the amphibians or the reptiles. So the point is, the amphibians probably created the reptiles and the mammals, right? So when our ancestors we were technically rodents, right? Like rats, you know what I'm saying? So technically, our rats are pretty much humans too, in a way, but they just didn't evolve. They stood the same species, right? I mean, technically they did evolve, but they're kind of the same thing, right? Um, and then from rats, we started becoming like like squirrels, you know what I'm saying? Like tree rodents, you know what I'm saying? And those obviously tree rodents, then we became like fucking primates, like monkeys and shit. Like what we call monkey is like literally an ancient monkey, not the monkeys you see right now. Uh, for all those people probably wondering, well, what about the dinosaurs? Well, obviously the fucking dinosaurs came in the stage where we were like reptiles and amphibians. And if you know, there was more than one extinction event. Um, and the last extinction event happened like 60 million years ago, which is when the dinosaurs allegedly died. In my opinion, not all of them, right? And so when the dinosaurs became extinct, that means that fucking anything that like was big as fuck I forgot how many. Like that's why I fucking needed my paper because I'm literally writing everything down. That way I don't forget. Like any animal that like was taller than like 4 feet or weighed more than like 150 kilograms or pounds. That's why I can't remember. But point is, heavy and tall animals pretty much died, right? And keep in mind, we're talking about 60 million years ago. So that means that it had a lot of time. Those animals that survive, including our rat, like our rat ancestor, evolved. You know, they got bigger. They uh interbred. You know what I'm saying, with each other, mutated, all kinds of shit, right? In my opinion, the evolution cycle is like it happens every like 144,000 years. Boom, boom, boom. A new species comes out. Blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Um, and whatever, right? So let me uh fast forward to when we became primates. So obviously we're like from rodents to tree rodents, we kind of became primates, right? So we started losing our tail, you could say. And then eventually we started going down. You know, we're still walking like on 4 feet, and eventually we're collecting. We become like gatherers. So we were not hunters and gatherers. We were gatherers first, right? Like we were limited to our tree, but we used to. Some of us used to fucking go over there and like collect fruits, seeds, insects, whatever, and then run like a motherfucker, right? So you could picture our ancestors like little funny ass monkeys. You know what I'm saying? Grabbing food and then run like a motherfucker. Oh, shit, what the fucking saber tooth tiger after me and shit. And fucking so maybe that's why we started walking on 2 legs, you know, because we had to carry the food and shit. Probably run like a little motherfucker. Have you seen the monkeys like on those nature shows and shit? How they fucking run off funny like "Yee." And fucking so yeah, so then eventually we started walking on 2 legs. And keep in mind, if we were primates in that time, we had to be like the size of chimpanzees and the bonobo, which is about 3 foot 7 feet. So my theory is that I don't know if y'all ever heard of the Homo florensis. They call it the Hobbit uh hominid. I believe that whatever we were at the time, you know what I'm saying, separated into two. Well, three. You could say, yeah, let's say three. Separated into three species: the Homo florensis, the chimpanzee, like literally the chimpanzees that are out here right now, and the bonobo. Because technically, the bonobo and the chimpanzee, or you know what? Yeah, it's separated into the Homo florensis, and it's separated into, I guess, let's call them chimpanzees, right? So whatever ancestor we share with the chimpanzees, separated into two, right? So when they say that we come from monkeys, that's what the fuck they're talking about. They're talking about that ancient primate. They We obviously don't have no idea of which one it was, right? But we do know is that we separated from that ape into chimpanzees and into their Homo florensis. So the chimpanzee eventually diverged into what we call a chimpanzee and what we call a bonobo. The funny thing is, the chimpanzee and the bonobos are both 3 feet and 7 inches tall. And check this out. There's a fun fact. The Homo florensis, and y'all can fact check me if y'all don't believe me, was the same fucking height as the chimpanzee and the bonobos. 3 foot 7 inches. That's why they call it a hobbit, you know, because it was a little fucking ancient hominid, you know what I'm saying? And to this day, I think we only found one of them, like close to like where Melanesia is at, you know? And it's kind of fucking interesting too, because I believe that that little fucking hobbit fucking traveled. I'm assuming that motherfucker, you know what I'm saying, duplicated and traveled all over the world, you know what I'm saying? But I think it traveled to Africa, right? Or technically it was in Africa already. But the reason we don't see that many of them was probably because if you believe in the ancient alien theory, that means that the Homo florensis was the one they experimented on, or was the one that eventually evolved. Because I think the Homo florensis is the one that kind of evolved into like I forgot what they call the Lucy skeleton, but technically Lucy was kind of short too. And that's what I was gonna say about evolution earlier. That uh, the way you see it is that we keep growing and growing and growing, right? So from I believe that Homo florensis it became like what the hominids related to like Lucy and all the ones they're finding on like in Africa, like in the southeast or whatever. So I'm assuming that Homo florensis existed probably when all the continents were still kind of together. Because keep in mind, 60 million years ago, like the planet looked a little bit different. As a matter of fact, let me try to see if I can find the fucking. Hold on. Let me see. Planet Earth, 60 million years. See if they got a map. I know I got it on my phone, but look it up here. So the Earth through time. See right here, they talk about that shit. Let's see how fuck the planet looks. So I can see what the fuck I'm talking about. So yeah, look it. You see this one right here? So the Earth kind of looked a little something like this. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like how they call it Pangea and shit, where the planet was like all together, all the continents and shit. But well, whatever. Point is, it was together, right? Kind of look a little something like this, kind of like this. Oh, look at this. How I think that's how the Earth looked 700 million years ago. So it was like a big ass continent, right, all together and shit. And what do we call it? Hold on. Where the fuck is the thing? I hate this bullshit. All right, so whatever. Like the planet right here was all covered. So I think that was 700 million years ago, and I believe the Homo florensis. Like, let me show you who the fuck Homo florensis looks like. Homo florensis look a little something like this. Look at it. Like a little fucking. That's what they call it, the Hobbit. Look at that motherfucker. Look like a little weird fucking monkey, right? Flores, man. They call it. Look at. Check this shit out. Look, it's fucking crazy. I'm telling you, I be studying all this shit. It's fucking crazy. That motherfucker look like that. Motherfucker look weird as fuck. Scary looking if you ask me. So look at this is kind of crazy. So look, what the fuck is it? All right, so look. So we know about the Homo habilis, right? Look at the height. The height was 118 centimeters. Homo erectus was 165 centimeters. So look at this. What I be telling everybody: pay attention to the height, the weight, and the brain size. You know. So if my theory is correct, that whatever ancient fucking ape we were that's related to the chimpanzees, the ones we share with the chimpanzees, that means that when we split from that ancestor we share with the chimpanzees, we became Homo floresiensis. So, but keep in mind, just because we only find one of them, like what island is that? Like close to Australia, like by Melanesia or whatever. Pay attention, all right? Most people say we come from Africa, but I think like you got to remember that Africa was the same continent 60 million years ago. You know what I'm saying? So and then we started splitting apart. I'm gonna try to find that before I fucking so I can back it up before we end the episode today. But I want to talk about this and then the Big Bang. That's gonna be today's topic. So look at it's Homo floresiensis, not florensis. So look at the height of this one was 106 centimeters and it weighed 28 kilograms, and the brain was only 426 centimeters cube, right? So remember what I said, that if you ever notice, all of our ancient hominids, they keep getting taller and taller and bigger, and the brain bigger, right? So look, assuming from there, obviously that means that this little motherfucker was everywhere in the world, especially if we originated from Africa, right? So that just means that this specific motherfucker traveled from Africa all the way there and ended up dying there or something, right? So let's assume this little motherfucker was in Africa, right? Specifically South or East Africa, where they're finding all these ancient hominids, right? So we did come from Africa, don't get me wrong, but we were this little motherfucker that they found by Australia. But the scientists and archaeologists are not really putting the pieces together like that. That's what I'm trying to say. So then you got fucking this motherfucker evolving into something else. Uh, Hold on, I'm trying to see how tall Lucy was. Lucy, how many height? All right, so I found it right here. Oh, so look at Lucy was the Australopithecus afarensis. Let's see what fucking height. So look, Lucy existed like 4 million years ago. So we're talking about 60 million years ago. Hold on, let me see how long. So whatever. So look how they make Lucy look like a straight up monkey, right? So that's crazy. So what's telling us that the chimpanzee and the Homo florensis didn't make love? Because keep in mind they come from the same motherfucker. They probably interbred with each other and created a more ape-like creature that was smarter and probably created Lucy. You know? Hold on, let me see. Lucy height. Let's see. What was her height? Oh look, so Lucy was 1 point like 1 meter, you could say. I'm saying centimeter. Oh look, so she was 107. Look at that shit. The Homo. So we could probably argue that uh that's probably what happened. So the Homo floresiensis probably, remember, they came from the fucking chimpanzees, well, from the ancestor of the chimpanzees. So it's like if somebody had sex with their cousin and created a kid. So let's say the chimpanzee is a cousin, and then the Homo floresiensis is the cousin, or technically they're kind of like brother and sister, and they have make love, and they end up creating a motherfucking, you know, motherfucker look like Lucy, you know, 3.5 feet. Look at that shit, 3.5 feet. Homo floresiensis was like 3 feet and 7 inches. You know what I'm saying? So 106 centimeters, and Lucy is 107 centimeters. And remember, they found Lucy in Africa. So eventually, Lucy's species either kept growing or interbreeding with other ape-like creatures and created the Homo habilis, which is a little bit taller than Lucy, 118 centimeters, and weighs probably more, 30 kilograms. So now look at the difference. Eventually, this motherfucker grew up, you know what I'm saying? Like, we like to assume that those ancient hominids were stupid, but I think we're stupid for thinking that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you think about it, all these oral stories talk about giants. Now, keep this in mind. If the Homo floresiensis was still around at the time that the Homo erectus was around, which look at the Homo erectus, there's is way taller than both of them. He's 165 centimeters, 51 kilograms, and his brain is like double the size of the floresiensis, right? So that's just crazy. And then and it's kind of ironic how Homo erectus existed kind of near Homo floresiensis, right? But the funny part is that the Homo habilis is somewhere around that area. So there's a lot of shit going on around here. You know what I'm saying? We suspect that the ancient aliens, from what that Israeli spaceship says, the Galactic Federation, uh, interbred with us. They bioengineered us into something else. So my theory is that I think they did fuck around with us and either created the Lucy species, like the species that looks like Lucy, out of the Homo floresiensis, or that happened naturally. And then again, I believe that you see how the Homo floresiensis is kind of close to the Homo erectus. Have you ever heard those stories like in Norse mythology where they talk about, like I said, habits or little people. I think the people that told those stories were referring to the Homo floresiensis, you know, and and if they were talking about the Homo floresiensis, that's why they saw themselves as the Homo erectus. Obviously, Homo erectus will see a Homo floresiensis as little people, and the Homo floresiensis will see the Homo erectus as big people. But then check this out. This is where shit gets more crazy. I don't know if you ever heard about the Nesovans. Those motherfuckers are big as fuck. Check this out. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. All right, so assuming right now we're gonna read about that in the Big Bang Genesis thing, right? Assuming the Homo floresiensis was the one they kind of fucked around with, that would mean that the Homo erectus is what you call a modern human, right? A modern human, right? Now check this out. Assuming the ancient aliens were tall as fuck, right? And they if they were tall as fuck, that means that the modern human, which you see right here, the first call, was probably fucking like the same way the Homo floresiensis was would look at a human like that motherfucker tall. Imagine how they looked at the giants if they were like fucking way taller. Like look at the skulls. Look at how fucking big they are, right? We like to assume, oh well, they just had a big cavities, but they didn't have big brains. They were not smarter than us. How the fuck do we know that? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they say that, but we can't confirm that, you know? But if you ever notice something, do you notice something about the skulls? How they kind of become elongated? And if you notice, the Neanderthals is more elongated than the modern human, but the Denisovan ones is even more elongated than the Neanderthal ones. Now, hold on. Now that we're talking about skulls, check this shit out. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, based on the research people have done, something called artificial cranial deformation, right? So, you know what I'm saying? So there's people, they actually do this shit to themselves, right? Like they do that to their heads, like in this picture right here. So I feel like it's like we see it and we do it, you know what I'm saying? But look at this creepy ass picture right here from like ancient Egypt, right? So back to what I was saying, right? If remember how I said about the aliens from the Galactic Federation? If they're real, that means they look albino as fuck, and because they don't got no melanin, because they live underground, that's why they call them ant people. And so, on my theory is this: that they genetically engineered the DNA of the Homo floresiensis and made the modern human, which we call the Homo erectus, and then they kind of found them attractive and started having sex with them, right? If they started having sex with them, let's assume that they created the Denisovans after having sex with the or you know what? Nah. They created the Neanderthal. Yeah. Let's say the modern human created the Neanderthal, right? Or the Denisovan, right? So it got to be either one way or the other, where they had sex with the modern humans and created the Neanderthals, right? And then then they like how the Neanderthals look and had sex and created the Denisovans. You know what I'm saying? Or it could be the other way around, where they had sex with the modern humans and created the Denisovans, and then they thought the Denisovans were hot, had sex with the Denisovans and created the Neanderthal. You know, because according to science, they say that technically the modern human and the Neanderthal don't come from each other. So maybe, you know what, that's probably the correct theory. So probably they genetically engineered the Homo floresiensis and created the modern human, which we call Homo erectus or Homo, and well, technically Homo erectus, or let's say the Homo floresiensis evolved into the Homo erectus, and then the Homo erectus is the one they genetically engineered into the modern human, which we call Homo sapiens. Yeah, let's say it like that, the Homo sapiens, right? But the only reason I don't agree with that part is because some Homo sapiens got Neanderthal DNA or Denisovan DNA. So I don't think that's the correct uh, theory. I think my theory is the correct one because if Neanderthals and Homo sapiens technically share the same, but they say that Neanderthals and I believe Homo erectus don't share the same, then that means there were two separate species. And the only way that could happen is if, like I said, the Homo floresiensis was the ones that was genetically engineered and created the Homo erectus. Then the Homo erectus, they had sex with the Homo erectus and created the Denisovans. Then they had sex with the Denisovans and created the Neanderthals. You know what I'm saying? And I believe, like, so now you got three motherfuckers out there, right? So I like science likes to say no, they all evolved from each other or from the same ancestor. Technically, that same ancestor most likely was the Galactic Federation of Light, or you know what I'm saying, or the fucking Anunnaki. You know what I'm saying, the ant people. So what's like the ones that look like albinos? So what is it to say that they had sex with the Denisovans and then they created the Neanderthals for having sex with the Denisovans? So now you got the Homo erectus, the Neanderthal, and the Denisovans. So to me, a Homo sapien is the product of one of these three or these two, and that's probably what it is. You get me? But if we distinguish the Homo erectus from the Homo sapien, then that means that Homo sapiens in reality are either so look at either the Denisovans and the Neanderthals had sex and created the Homo sapiens, or the Neanderthal and the Homo erectus had sex and created the Homo sapiens. Whatever the case may be, between these three right here, the Homo erectus, the Neanderthal, and the Denisovans, I think a lot of fucking went happened, and we created all kinds of shit that what we call humans now, and that's what we kind of look. Some of us look like fucking Neanderthals still. Some of us are tall as fuck. We look like the Denisovans, and some of us are short as hell. We look like the Homo floresiensis, and some of us look even more different. You know, but I want to go back to the elongated skull before I get back to Genesis. So look at the skulls, right? So look at how they keep getting elongated, and that's kind of where I have my theory of the Denisovans were the result of them fucking with the Homo erectus, and it makes sense that the Homo erectus, I mean, like when they had sex with the Denisovans, they created the Neanderthals, or you could say that the Denisovans had sex with the Homo erectus and created the Neanderthals. But I think that it was the Anunnaki that had sex with the Denisovans and created the Neanderthals, and then the Neanderthals, had sex with the Homo erectus and created a type of Homo sapiens, and then eventually the Denisovans had sex with the Homo sapiens and created what we call Homo sapiens right now. So it's we could probably figure it out like that. Because an interesting thing is that Melanesians, they have the blood of not only Homo sapiens, well, the DNA, but they got the DNA of both Neanderthals and Denisovans. Mostly people from Asia have Denisovan blood, so that means that the Denisovans roamed in Asia, which is kind of ironic because that's where Sumer was at, right? Like the Sumerians. And then another interesting thing is that the Neanderthals are found mostly like in Europe, and most people from Europe have Neanderthal DNA. So that's kind of interesting, if you ask me. And modern humans, obviously, like the Homo sapiens, obviously, the majority, they're in Africa. That's what we call, our black brothers and sisters. And obviously, that's when we started spreading around the world. Some of us interbred with the Neanderthals, which that's where the Europeans shared the Neanderthal and Homo sapien blood. And then some of us traveled even more east and traveled and intermingled with the Denisovans. And the funny thing is, remember about the Homo florensis? Did they think that we made it with them too? I think we did, to be honest. But that doesn't mean that we come like that we created them. That means that we come from them in a way. So, and then obviously, like I said, the Melanesians got both DNA. They're the only ones that got all three DNAs plus an unknown DNA. So that's kind of interesting. But look at, like I said, the elongated skulls. So if you notice, they keep getting elongated, right? So what's us to say that the Anunnaki did look like this? Although, yeah, technically people deform themselves, artificial, whatever you call it, right? So we fuck around and make our heads like this, but come on, look at this shit. Look at this shit. Who do you think they were trying to mimic? If my theory is true that the Anunnakis, you know, had elongated skulls, and that's why when they mated with the Homo erectus, they created humans that actually had humans that look like the Denisovans. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are we to say that's not how they did look? You know, like with big heads. Probably their brain is twice the size of ours. That's my theory. Because according to Sakara Sitchin, or if Nibiru is their planet, or Planet Nine technically was born first in Earth. It was like created like 8 billion years ago. But back to the Big Bang. So check this out. So the account in Genesis 2:7 is completely different. Here, humankind is created before the animals. So you know how we're talking about the evolution? So look, so from the dust of the earth, not as the purpose of creation, but only as a means to sustain it, to care for it, and to maintain it. So we're gonna get into that kind of topic more deeper later on in future episodes. But look, here the man is also created alone. Only afterward does God understand that it is not good for man to be alone and makes a fitting helper for him. Right? So God did not create two types of humans according to this article, but he created a being of such fierce duality that one creation story was insufficient to accommodate it. If the human being created in the image of the divine can be understood as pure consciousness, human 2.0, made from dust, reflects our sheer physicality. These two facets of humanity are expressed by the names of the protagonist of the biblical narrative, Adam. Adam is bound up with Adama Soyo, namely the level of the material, the objective. Hava, Eve, connects with Havaya, experience, that is, with consciousness, with the subjective. I like this article, it's kind of insightful. It is fair to ask why the second human was created. After all, God looked at Adam, and saw that it was very good. Why did he fiddle around in the mud and make Adam too? Possibly because he understood that he didn't need another one exactly like him. So this could be a reference to what I'm saying about the Homo florensis. So maybe the first Adam was technically the evolution. You know how we talk about the evolution, So maybe when he's talking about man, he's talking about primates. So when he create, or mammals. So when the mammals were created, like the primates obviously came out of the mammals, and then the first man could be the Homo floresiensis or whatever, right? And technically, we could say that could also probably be a reference to the Homo erectus, because remember, if he created them literally, then that means he created a Homo erectus, and he was not satisfied with Homo erectus, so then he blended their DNA with the Homo erectus and created the Denisovans. And maybe the Denisovans are what you call Adam too. I don't know, just food for thought. So possibly because he understood that he didn't need another one exactly like him, He wanted someone who could do what no God has the capacity to do, fail. For if there is no option of failure, there is no space for effort and no possibility to transcend. It's the duality that allows the offspring of Adam and Eve a life of meaning, but its pursuit is far from simple. Indeed, again and again we fail. So let me see. So yeah, they're talking about the sin. You should check this article out. So whatever, blah blah. Alienation is known as the sin. Perceiving themselves separate. They were already outside paradise and hell. So it's like more symbolically. That's why probably a lot of people who are not religious, because they see it like the way they're describing it right here in the article, where paradise and hell, they're not physical places but mental states. The Garden of Eden is love for all aspects of the human or nature, those in you and those in me. And hell is alienation from them. So that motherfucking shit, that shit's interesting. To live in our image. Humanity has been in hell for a very long time. Wow. This motherfucking article on point, to be honest. Damn. All right, so it ends right here. So I'm just going to read it so you can see what it says. So according to a 5th century, man was created on the first day of the month of Tishrei. In other words, the Hebrew New Year is also the birthday of humanity. So that's kind of interesting. I kind of believe that. I'm not Jewish, but I believe that. Perhaps what we can wish for us is a life of union and fullness instead of a life of alienation and division. And that's what the fuck I preach, unity, man. You know what I'm saying? That may be our only hope, for us to relate with erudition, both of our stories alike, know how to fuse being and thought, meditation and mathematics, mysticism and physics to be in our image. And remember what the fuck I said earlier? That we are God and God is God. We are God, God is us, but we are not God. If this article and what the fuck I've been saying this whole time and some of the shit that I've shared with y'all does not fucking turn on that little third eye y'all got, aka your pineal gland, and does not give you the fucking power of imagining things the way I see it, I understand this shit. I agree 100 fucking percent with this fucking article. And this is the first time I fucking read it. So this not only confirms what the fuck my theory is, but goddamn, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't expect you to agree with me. Do the same thing I'm doing. Do your research. Study. If you're gonna study words, just remember that certain words have the same sounds. Use a fucking like phonetic alphabet to kind of distinguish them. There's only specific sounds. So there's words that they're written a certain way, and most of them are written and they look so similar when you write them down because they represent the same fucking sound. So do what I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? Do what I'm telling you, and you'll put all the pieces together too. That's literally the best fucking advice I could give you. Connect the fucking dots. Synchronize everything. Don't dismiss anything. Take everything into consideration. That's what I'm doing, and that's what I want you to do. Because I can't do this shit alone. I'm putting everything together, but I need your help. We need to wake the fucking world up. You know what I'm saying? I consider myself enlightened, so I'm trying to enlighten you. So we could all become the enlightened ones, the Illuminati. That's what Illuminati stands for, the enlightened one. So if you want to be enlightened, I just gave you instructions. Do as don't do as I say, but do as I want, or do as I want, not as I say. The choice is yours. And with that, we're gonna put an end to this episode. So if you're interested in knowing more about the shit that I know, I'll share it with y'all. That's what I'm here for. But I'm telling you, we're gonna talk about this more and more, and I'm gonna keep giving you more evidence every day. All right. But on other episodes, I'm just gonna, talk to other people about other shit, a little distraction. So hope y'all like this episode, and peace.